All right, let's get started. Thank you, everyone, for even being here. It truly does mean the world to me. And again, this is my first LinkedIn Live, so please bear with any technical difficulties. But please let me know about the sound or the video. But nonetheless, let's get into it. So this is going to be a weekly thing called Path to PM Careers. My whole goal is making sure that we're able to help out the PM job seekers out there to get hired faster. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So, who am I? My name is Joshua T. Banwart. I was a U.S. Air Force veteran. I was in it for 8 years, traveled all over the world, Japan, Germany, and so many other countries. I primarily was in IT, I've been doing 10 plus years of IT and project management. I am the owner of Avalon Grade Solutions, or AGS, a small business company, and I am a huge D&D fanatic and I hate to say this, but I'm also a proud Gryffindor. So please, no hate if you aren't into Gryffindors. But if there's anything that you want to talk about, whether it resumes or not, if it's D&D related, board games, video games, or Harry Potter, I'm all ears. So Avalon Great Solutions, our whole goal is just making sure we're able to help out U.S. veterans and PM job seekers to pursue PM careers. We're have a very good success rate in making sure people are getting a lot more interviews within the first 30 to 60 days. Just a little guidance can go a long way, but I digress on that. There are some communication links down below, and if you want to, I'll restate this later on too. But if you would like to have these slides, I'd be more than willing to send them over to you as well. So now, what is this week all about? This week is specifically all about different kinds of myths that are out there right now. Right now, there is a lot of myths about resumes in general, but we're going to be focusing a lot on these four myths in particular. Myth number one is a one-page resume better than 2 pages. Number two is the job market is so competitive right now. Is that true? Number three is more PM certs equals being hired faster. So things like the PMP or CAPM or Lean Six, so on and so forth. And then the last one, myth number four, is a doozy, and that's 75% of resumes never see human eyes. So I'm going to pause really quick again just to make sure that all my equipment is working well. So if anyone can comment to see to let me know that you are able to hear me and see the video quality okay, that would be great. Perfect. All right. There's a short delay. I wasn't ready for that too in regards to a delay. So I appreciate that. All right. Anyways, on to the next part. Myth number one is a one-page PM resume better. The short answer is no. It's not. The true answer is like 1 or 2 pages. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. The main goal here, and the reason why it doesn't matter, is because you need to make sure that our resumes are clean and simple. They showcase your value, your impact, and your relevancy. Now, a lot of things, I should have prefaced this, a lot of things are going to be said multiple times, but it's just to reinforce a lot of the information here. So what is a lot of problems or information that's being put out there about a one-page resume? Like, how did that ever start? To think about it is, the reason why a lot of recruiters may say start looking at one-page resumes is because we need to make sure that they are appealing to them and they're not wasting a lot of time trying to find out what's best for them. And because people are so focused on 1 or 2 page resumes, this is what ends up happening. They either say way too much or way too little. So if somebody has years and years of experience and they end up actually they've always been told that they need to do a 1 page resume, they cram everything so small into 1 page. And I've seen where there's somebody with 15 years of experience cramming it into one page, making sure it's ATS keyword friendly. It has all these details. And I would say that the font might have been around like 9 or 10 or 8. It was so small, so hard on the eyes. And that's one big problem that I see. Then there's people who look at doing 2+ pages and they fill it, sure, and even with white space, but the problem is that all they're doing is listing a bunch of just job responsibilities. You essentially just copy and paste what a lot of the job posts are saying. And that's not necessarily the best way forward for that, just because you're trying to fill white space. And because whether you are doing a 1-page or 2-page, because of what we hear, you end up creating a lot of generic and broad terms. For instance, like if you know that in a lot of job posts, they always say effective communicator. Well, your first few bullets or your first couple bullets or skills is all about how you tell people that you are an effective communicator and that you can have a 100% on-time delivery and within budget. But the problem is that you and everyone else is also saying that. So when we're trying to fill our 1 or 2-page resume, all we're doing is just filling it with arbitrary or generic keywords and terms. The other part is because we're so focused on these keywords, which we'll get plenty into in myth number 4, you see a lot of people making 1 or 2 paragraph summaries, or they have a huge list, and you'll see example later on. There's a huge list of keyword skills, core competencies right at the top, and it takes half the page or more, or even to the second page, where it actually tells me a little bit about you, like what your experiences, impact, and values. And that takes up so much space and time that the recruiter or the hiring manager has just to get to your relevancy to them. The other part, and a big one that I see, is that because they want to make it so valuable, let's say you worked at a place for 6 months to a year, they still try to fit 8, 10, 12 bullets into there. And I'll be honest, even if I worked for a place for 5 years, it's hard for me to make 8 to 10 to 12 bullets because my whole goal is creating as much value and metrics. And when you do that, you can actually condense a lot more of the information or your value into one bullet. So 3 of those bullets can actually just be 1. But what we're doing is just making our resume sound so similar to everyone else. Now, that's the problem. Now, what can be the solution here? The solution can be something along the lines of making sure we're able to make it simple, but then also making it straight to the point. So don't worry about any of these kinds of modern day colorful types of resumes out there. I'm actually kind of jealous for those who can do that, because I think they look wonderful. And to be fair, I do think that you can give those out, but that's more of a email to email. You know somebody. It's not going to go through any ATS robots or anything like that. It's just for them to see it. Sure, that's okay. But at the end of the day, a boring, clean, simple format is going to be just fine. Not a bunch of tables and graphs and everything. Parsing, making a parsing system easier, but just easier on the eyes. But also straight to the point. Don't have 1 to 2 paragraphs of summary. Focus on just 2 to 3 sentences, focusing only on what they are looking for or what your industry is looking for. When it comes to the long list of skills out there, just try to pinpoint 3 to 6 of them, because I've seen people with 15 to 20 different skills at the top, and there comes a point where you're just listing a bunch of things, and the reader or the recruiter is just going to end up thinking, okay, this person's just trying to beat the ATS system out there. And that's the kind of thing that, we don't want them to be thinking about at all. So really just focus on 3 to 6. And again, I'll go a little bit more into it later on, but you want to look at the job posts within your industry to try to find those out. And then when it comes to the bullets, again, what we're trying to do is just show what makes you so amazing. I want you to start bragging about yourself. And when we can do that, you can actually realize that you can condense 2 to 3 of the bullets that you may already have all into just one bullet. For instance, if let's say you had a bullet about 100% on-time delivery, and then you had another bullet about how you can keep it within budget. And then you had another one of how great of a stakeholder communicator you are. And it's all like, it essentially is just copy and paste from the original job post that you most often see. Then what you can do is, why don't you tell me a specific project that you had something within time or within budget, and you had you were an effective stakeholder communicator? Because that's going to tell me so much more about your value to me as a company compared to just telling me that you have been able to do that. Because again, you and 150 other applicants are also saying around the same thing. So we want to make sure that we condense our bullets into very impactful and value-driven bullets. So you really only need 3 to 6 because they're going to know right away within your first couple of sentences of your career summary and within your first couple of bullets how relevant you are to them and how awesome you are. So you really don't need, 5, 10, 15 bullets for every single one. They're going to get the gist of it relatively fast. I've already mentioned this, but show metrics, impacts, and value. I'll get into a couple more examples, or I'll mention a couple more examples, but our whole goal there is just showcasing how awesome you really are. Whether it's your team size, how the high value of your project, how many departments did you do it for, the inventory costs of everything. These are metrics that are fairly simple to get, and you don't need senior leadership approval to get a lot of that. You can just think of it and reverse engineer it. So those are some examples, but I'll get more into later. And then a big one here is, and my face is kind of covering up a little bit, is be specialized, not generalized. And you're going to see this one quite a bit here. When our resumes are when everyone thinks that PM, job seeker, or project management is universal. It is. It is universal. But here's the problem. The problem is that even though project management can be universal, sure, if you're a great communicator, you know how to do Microsoft project and all this stuff, that's good. However, you still need to be able to talk their talk because it makes it a lot easier for them to actually onboard you or be part of the team much faster because they have 150 other applicants. They want to speed this along. Now, this is more of the what I believe the norm as compared to the exception, where there are people who show amazing contributions to their company, or maybe they got referral. Maybe it wasn't directly relevant to their industry, but they still got picked. Again, in my opinion, this is more of the exception and not the norm. So we want to be able to look at really 1 or 2 different types of industries out there that we want to be focusing on. Because let's say we're trying to make a resume for IT, healthcare, and within IT, we'll say IT, healthcare, finance. There's so many broad keyword and buzzwords out there that if you're trying to appeal to everyone, they're just going to be thinking to themselves, okay, there's a lot of information here that I don't care about. Let's say if I'm an IT company and you have a bunch of stuff about finance and healthcare, they have to pick through the weeds to try to find out what is most relevant to them. And so when we're trying to appeal to everyone or be more of a generalized kind of resume, we really end up filling our resume with so much extra arbitrary buzzwords and keywords that may not mean anything to them because you're trying to fulfill everything. And that gets into the more quality over quantity aspect of it. So, again, I'm going to ask if everyone can hear me and see, and if everyone can hear me or see everything okay. But I'm going to still continue, but I'll be looking over the comments as well. So, The next aspect is, or the next myth, I'm sorry, is about myth number 2. The job market is competitive. In my opinion, it's yes, but it's also no. And what do I mean by that? It's because the market is saturated, not just competitive. It's more saturated more than competitive. Absolutely, it's competitive in regards to barrier or entry to barrier level. Not just a high schooler can immediately go into project management. No, that's not the case. However, and there's a lot more people getting the CAPM and the PMP, but it's more saturated than anything. In my opinion, the reason why that is because everyone right now who is applying has their PMP or CAPM. And I say everyone, obviously it's not everyone, but I'm just stating that like everyone has their PMP or CAPM they're applying, whether it's an entry level position and they didn't even ask for their PMP or CAPM. Everyone on the resume has the word project manager, and everyone has effective communicator or different other kinds of keywords in there. So if everyone has it, what makes you different compared to everyone else? And this is a common thing, a theme I see in a lot of these resumes that I look at. People who said that they haven't been able to get anyone to look at their or people who I have worked with that said that they haven't been able to get an interview after 50 plus applications. And the moment I see the resume, I can immediately tell, and this is going to be a separate topic for another week. I can immediately tell when it's AI, only AI written. I'm all about AI, but when it's only AI written, it can have flaws. But then also they are trying to appeal to everyone, and there's no metrics, and it just doesn't make you different than everyone else. And here's the thing, I know you're different, and I know your value. Every single person I've ever talked to has had amazing details once we get into the nitty gritty of it, but that takes time, and it takes a little bit of guidance and a way forward in mindset thinking about how amazing you truly are. So I'm hoping that a few more of these examples will help out. So I kind of already got into it a little bit, but what is the problem with the concept of the job market is competitive, but in reality, like I mentioned, it's more saturated than anything. So the myth is that is the PM job market competitive? The problem is everyone sounds the same, and I just mentioned that, but that's also because everyone tries to focus on quantity over quality. Look, I get it. I promise you, please understand, I get it that nobody takes time, or nobody has the time to tailor their resume for everyone. And again, that's another topic for another week. But at the end of the day, if you're showcasing your metrics, your value, your relevancy to the company or the job post or the industry, tailoring should take only 5 to 15 minutes. But that's also besides the point. If you focus more on the quantity instead of the quality, then you'll actually be spending less time overall. Because even when you go for quality or quantity, you still have to, I hate it, you still have to go through the whole parsing system. You upload your resume, you copy and paste some of the information, and ask you the same questions over and over and over again, and that still can take 5 to 10 minutes. So if you're still doing 100 of those, at least you're not tailoring your resume anymore. You focus on quantity over quality. In reality, you can spend a lot less time if you focus on the other areas that we're talking about here. But that is the main problem why a lot of people think it's so competitive or saturated, is because people are just throwing anything and everything against the wall to try to get seen. So they can get, I'm sure you've seen it, where people are applying for a job and there's already 100, 150 other applications already in there. And that's because it's so quick. Because people aren't even doing anything when it comes to the whole job tailoring aspect, or at least somewhat relative to what they're asking for. They're just applying. And so this is where you can actually shine in that. I mentioned this already, appeals to multiple industries. A lot of people's resumes, when they're trying to appeal to more than one, but definitely more than 2 industries, sound like you're a generic, it's generic and you're not actually appealing to me. Here's an example. Some of you might be here in this meeting or in this live stream because it called out to you the fact that I'm focusing on project management resumes. Now think to yourself, would that have happened if I just said I help with resumes? Some of you might say yes. Some of you, or what I believe, most of you might just say no, because it's not tailored to exactly what you need. And in fact, and I'm okay with this, but like maybe somebody who's looking for a financial analyst resume, how to make those. Well, this isn't for them, and that's okay. But if I am appealing to them, I'm going to make sure I'm going for that. So just because you have project managers, so for instance, if your career summary says something like diverse project manager with extensive years of experience in multiple departments and sectors, well, I can tell you right now, that doesn't tell me your years of experience in what we're trying to look for, what market I'm looking for, and what is the kinds of skills that you have. So if I'm an IT company and I'm looking for a technical project manager, saying the words diverse or extensive and those kinds of things is just way too broad. We're trying to appeal to the masses, and it just turns me off to the idea of like wanting to look further. So I hope that aspect makes a little bit more sense in regards to that. But the other part is the fact, and this is a big doozy here, list job responsibilities. I've mentioned multiple examples thus far, but a big one is the fact that a lot of resumes I see, they just sound like all the job posts that are out there that mention something about their job responsibilities. Not just skills, but let's say the job responsibility says something along the lines of can be an effective communicator and team leader to ensure project success or something like that. That's a more generalized job post that I often see. And what people do is just almost, there might be some tweaks here and there. They just essentially just copy and paste that into their posts or into their resume bullets. And it doesn't tell me how are you an effective communicator or how are you able to work with stakeholders or your teams, but also what impact have you had? So again, tell me a time that you did that. Show me when you have had that impact, when you've had those kinds of amazing value to the team or to the project or in any way. That is what they want to see. They want to see your value and not necessarily just a bunch of job responsibilities. Because when you say you can ensure 100% effective on-time delivery and within budget, again, you and 150 other applicants are also saying the same exact thing. Last but certainly not least, and I'll be touching up on this more in the myth number 4, but they focus on high ATS scores. Because everyone is so gung-ho about high ATS scores, it doesn't matter how high your ATS score is. The biggest thing is making sure that it actually shows relevancy and shows your value to them. So again, I've mentioned this. I've already mentioned a lot of these already. I got ahead of myself. But the solution here is think like a CEO and write like a CMO or a chief marketing officer. Businesses all the time it's saturated. You want to open a t-shirt company, it's going to be saturated with a bunch of other people. Resume writing companies like myself is saturated with a bunch of other resume writing companies. You want to open a gym. Oh my gosh, there's so many gyms out there, right? So now you have to differentiate yourself. What is your value proposition? What makes you better than everyone else? And for me specifically is to showcase that I only focus on project managers, U.S. veterans transitioning into PM careers, aspiring or current project managers getting into the PM career. And that kind of niche marketing and knowing your target audience is how a lot of companies do it. So they focus on quality for quality content, quality advertisements, quality products and services dedicated to their target audience as compared to quantity, trying to appeal to everyone. Another common saying is when you try to appeal to everyone, you end up appealing to no one. So the main concept there is, again, for my company, not a lot of people want to deal with resume writers. And I get it, I understand. But whether it comes to LinkedIn live events, websites, future webinars, no matter what it is. If it's just a resume writer, it may not appeal to you. But if it's exactly what you want, like project management advice, then they can help you translate and appeal to you a lot more. So what do I mean by all this? When we're, again, trying to appeal to so many different industries, that's what we're kind of doing. We're just trying to appeal to everyone, which ends up appealing to no one. We need to use their language. So if you're going for a healthcare roles, then we're looking at patient in care, or maybe it's in the health/science, or we're looking at biopharmaceuticals. Utilize those kinds of language and keywords in there. You want to be there. You want to be a solution to their problem. If they're looking for an IT project manager that has a lot of, or has some or a lot of experience to AWS, cloud, or maybe again, somebody in healthcare or pharmaceuticals, and you're able to say that you're able to do that, that's going to go a lot more compared to if you were a financial analyst but you were managing teams, and they may see value in that, but in reality, again, the exception versus norm kind of thing here is that you're not speaking their language. They're looking for somebody in their specific industry, department, or areas. And that's where you find a lot of the information within their qualifications and requirements. So, but even speaking their language, you still need to show what makes you so amazing compared to everyone else. Show how you are able to, with metrics, impact, and value once again. If you say that you are an IT project manager working on AWS, great, that's my language. But then if everything else still states that the same job responsibilities out there, and it's just copy and pasted, well, you're not telling me what made you so much better than everyone else that we're looking at. You maybe, for instance, you worked on a $4 million infrastructure project that was to help out more than 300 personnel across 20 different networks. This is something common in the military when there's multiple networks. But $4 million, maybe you directed a team of 20 personnel doing a new installation to combine 4 or 5 different types of countries. Again, very, very familiar into the government side. But these are the kind of metrics that can be very appealing. We want to make sure it's appealing to others as best as we can. And then when it goes to appeal to 1 or 2 industries at a time. If you try to do more than that, it may just seem like you're listing out a bunch of things to see what can be best for the ATS system, or try to appeal to everyone, which ends up appealing to no one. Because if I'm a healthcare industry and you say you have been a project manager in healthcare, IT, and the finance department, that gets me interested. But I really hope that I get to the healthcare part right away, because if it takes me a while to get to the healthcare areas, I'm going to start losing interest. So I would rather get as much interest right away, and that's by stating really maybe just the healthcare and IT aspect of it. So yeah, that's my last part about myth number 2, though. There will be plenty of questions for the end, but just again, making sure that all my systems are working just okay. Does anyone have a real quick question that I could go over really quick right now? I don't think anyone has any questions yet. Again, there's a delay, which I'm not used to. I'm not used to a delay right now, so I'm going to see how this works in regards to everything. But it doesn't seem like anyone's got a question yet. Like I said, I'll have questions at the very end. All right. Well, if I do miss it, I'll make sure to look at it once I get back, or once I see everything again. But on to myth number 3. Myth number 3 is more PM certs equals getting hired faster. And, here's the thing. That's just not the case. It's not the case where you're going to be able to, the moment you get your PMP, the moment you get your CAPM, you're going to be able to get a lot more job interviews and job offers. In my opinion, PM certs create more opportunities, but it does not open more doors. So what do I mean by that? Your PM career journey is like a hallway. And in that hallway, you got doors your left to your right. Some are open and some are closed. A lot of people think that just because you got your PMP or your CAPM, all those other doors just all of a suddenly open. Maybe not all of a suddenly, I could be exaggerating, but all those doors open. What really happens is when you get your PM certifications, your hallway of PM career opportunities, where there's some doors are open, some doors are closed, what really happens is the hallway extends. So more doors are now present. But that doesn't mean all those other doors are open. Maybe one or two could have opened, meaning more opportunities, but or more possibilities. But it doesn't mean that every single door opens, and that's the problem that a lot of people think. What ends up happening is that because of contractual reasons or the qualifications requirements, you get more opportunities. You get a lot more opportunities because the higher education you have a lot more opportunities. But if we're not focusing on all those other areas I mentioned earlier, then that becomes the issue. That those doors remain closed because sure, maybe you have your PMP. Most of my clients, actually 60% of my clients, have their PMP or a master's or dual masters. And yet they're my clients, and that's because their resumes just aren't speaking to the others. Or to the readers because of all the other reasons I've already mentioned and I'll continuously mention. So before you spend any money or time on certifications, that could be your PMP, your CAPM, your Lean Six, anything. Make no mistake, I love them. I love those certifications. You should do that because it helps you grow and it helps you become a better project manager from a foundational standpoint. But make no mistakes, I think that before you spend any money or time, you need to focus on one or two industries, and you need to analyze those job posts. So let's say if you're looking at IT, I know I keep mentioning it, but my background's in IT. You look at IT, and maybe you're looking at for project management experience of 3 to 5 years. You're looking at $80,000, maybe $80,000 to $100,000, and you realize that all those job posts don't even mention PMP. Maybe they just mention the CAPM. So why would I spend the time and the money to go for the PMP? Again, this is just to help you, but maybe in your area, maybe you're working in IT. Or somewhere in the manufacturing or supply chain community, and you have a PMP or you're going to pursue your PMP, but you realize that all the qualifications requirements are all about the Lean Six. So now you're going for a certification that may not even be relevant to what you're looking for. Not to say that PMP or CAPM are great, but it's best to look at one or two different industries and start analyzing those job posting qualifications to see what really matters the most for you. Another one, here's a big one for anyone still up in Europe, that the Prince 2 PM certification kind of thing is a very hot commodity in Europe, more specifically in the UK. And Gaber, I think you're in here actually. If you you can definitely verify that with me. But I think that the Prince 2 is a big PM cert as compared to the US. And so again, maybe you might want to try to analyze those kind of things. Another thing, before you spend money on time, if you think that the PM certifications is how you get more jobs, before you spend the time and money, focus on your project or your PM resume, focus on your LinkedIn profile, and keep on networking. Those things, in my opinion, will help so much more to open those doors as compared to just getting a new certification. Again, the certs create more doors, create more opportunities, extends that hallway. But when you focus on a optimized PM resume, you have a specialized or optimized LinkedIn profile, and you keep on networking with amazing individuals in your community, that is how all those other doors open. Now, because there is a delay in everything, I did see a question that I'm going to quickly go over. I apologize for going over time. Hopefully LinkedIn and nobody here is going to be mad at me. But Brendan, you mentioned, what about if you are trying to get out of the industry you are in? How can I use different language to benefit my resume? That is a fantastic question. I work with career pivoters. My whole thing is about working with career pivoters, and also current project managers in your industry too. But I really want to try to give as much help to career pivoters, especially those for my U.S. veterans, but really anyone pivoting into the PM career. Actually, I'm going to have to do this. Where you lack in relevancy to the industry, we need to increase the relevancy into their other keywords. So if I make a lot of jokes about effective communicator or team leadership or whatever it may be, but if we lack in, let's say you're in healthcare and you're going to IT, if you don't have specific AWS or cloud capabilities or skills or whatnot, because you've always been doing healthcare. But in the job that you're going for, they have a lot about client acquisitions, client success, customer satisfaction, team leadership. If you can keep telling me in your your resume how, or show me how you were able to get an improved client success, how you are a effective communicator, it's because you had a team of 20 and you were able to increase profit and revenue or inpatient/customer care by X percentage over X amount of days. If you can tell me how you save time, money, or other aspects to make your previous companies better, I'm going to tell you now that you're going to it's far likely for you to get shortlisted. Because sure, I mentioned so much about the industry relevancy, but because there's so many people who are not doing that. They only care about the ATS. They only care about keywords and job responsibilities and everything. When you can show them how great you are, at the end of the day, your resume is still going to look better. You're able to talk their talk as best as you can. Now, in my humble opinion, and this is a recorded or live stream event here, people are going to maybe hate me when I say this. In my opinion, when you are doing a complete pivot, let's say you've never had experience in IT, and you are trying to go for senior level positions or executive level positions, we may want to hold the brakes on that. Unless we're able to have that optimized resume in so many other fields about what their qualifications and requirements and responsibilities are in the job post. So usually, a majority of my clients are anywhere from entry to senior. So if you're a medium or intermediate level, feel free to stick to that. But if you're at an entry-level position, you have 5 or 7 years of experience as a project manager in healthcare, and you're trying to go for a senior executive, I would really only keep it at an intermediate level. Not because it's not possible. Nothing is not possible. But I will say this, is that it will make it a lot easier for you to tailor and get a lot more feedback in regards to possible rejection letters, the interview process, because you will get more interviews. And so it gives you a lot more feedback faster, so you can work with it. And then you can grow from there. So I hope that answers it. But really, we decrease in industry relevance. We want to increase in the relevancy to the other factors of their job post. And I plan on having another topic on this maybe next Thursday or the following Thursday about how to tailor or how to better fit as a career pivoter for project management. So, oh, you know what? I actually got to go back a few clicks here, because you may have seen it. And if you're on the phone, you possibly could have missed it. I might have, yeah, right here. Rule of thumb. So some recruiters are different here and there, but what I get often is that the rule of thumb is if you have less than 5 years of experience or YOE, try to go looking at 1 page. And then if you have 5+ years, then you can start looking at 2 pages. Again, what they care about is I want to know how great you are and are you relevant to me. If you have less than 5 years and you have 2 pages of good white space and information that's actually relevant to me to show how amazing you are, it doesn't bother me. And they're not going to care because they're going to still skim it. It's all about skimming, but all they care about is making sure that it's relevant to them. Now, if it's 5 pages, they could roll their eyes, and we want to always mitigate any assumptions or inconveniences as possible. But the main reason why this is a rule of thumb is because a lot of people with less than 5 years of experience, they try to do 2 pages and all they're doing is just making a bunch of long bullets and paragraphs and everything. And then those people who with 5+ years of experience, it's okay to go to 2 pages. Don't feel bad about that. Again, the whole concept here, 1 or 2 pages, is just to look at showing relevancy and what makes you so amazing. But I digress on that part. I will go forward. Now my final myth here, and this is a doozy one, but luckily we've already talked about a majority of everything here, and that is 75% of resumes never see human eyes. This is not true, and I can't express this enough. I was going to say, in fact, I'm actually going to pause here to make sure that everyone can still hear me and see me, because this is one of those things that not only do I want to become viral in one of my posts, or if anyone else wants to post about it, or it just becomes viral in regards to word of mouth, I just want to make sure that people can hear me, but I'm not going to do that again. Here's the thing about this. I did research on this, and there's other people who've done research, genuine research on this. This started in 2014, primarily because Forbes had a guest writer for their article, and that is where this whole 75% of resumes never see human eyes. Here's the problem with this. There was no data or evidence to back it up. Nothing whatsoever. Now, sure, there might be, I haven't done every single research out there post this article, but there might be other people putting some type of data out there. But when this originally started, no data or hint of data towards that was there. It was written, the guest writer was a resume writer for a resume writing company. So if you tell me, they kind of had an agenda there. And to this day, people still, because that planted the seed many years ago, they still utilize it today. And here is something I just don't have in there, is that so many people get this wrong about what the applicant tracking system, or ATS. When they say never see human eyes, this is what they're referring to. The applicant tracking system is not this end-all be-all robot that filters every single keyword, and if you have a low keyword count, then it's just gotten rid of. That's just not the case. The applicant tracking system, the bulk of what companies are paying for with this is just that. It tracks where your applications are, so they can send you those emails. They can see what part of the process you are. Sure, maybe there's some type of filtering in it, but there's no difference between that and them control finding their certain filters. Now, I will state this specifically though. Again, for contractual reasons or qualifications and requirements, if you're applying for a job and they state that it is required to have a PMP or MBA or something like that, like government contracting is something that I'm used to, they may have that for contractual reasons. And if that's the case, and you say no in those questions, or they don't read it at all, there is a possibility that it might be not seen because it doesn't fit the actual qualifications. But in my opinion, just send it regardless, as long as you're showing the relevancy and value in everything else, because you may not know if it's a contractual reason or not. A lot of people just always try to aim higher, like shoot for the stars and then land on the moon kind of thing there. But just know that that is something to be considered of. But just know that your resume isn't just thrown away. It's still in the database. So if there's another role that's maybe maybe not as a senior project manager, but as a project coordinator, and they don't have those qualifications, you're still in their database. Again, that's actually part of the applicant tracking system, is being put into the database. So please, if there's anything from this you can take, it's the fact that this whole 75% of resumes never seen by human eyes is completely false. It was made by an agenda, and a lot of people are still spreading this misinformation. So please don't utilize that anymore. But here's the problem: why people agree with this, or have who, when they see that kind of stuff, they can be like, yeah, that makes complete sense. It's because they continuously focus on making sure that they're ATS friendly. This is why there's ATS scoring websites, and there's AI generated prompts for having a high ATS score. And I briefly talked about it, about generic AI resumes, and that's because there's so much data out there, not good data, about making sure it's ATS friendly to the job post, where all they're doing is just making arbitrary buzzwords and metrics and key skills. For instance, if you tell me that you were you directed a large scale program and increased and improved processing within your department by 25%, theoretically that is decent, or at least you're showing metrics in some case. But here's the problem, is that a lot of people don't even know, is 25% process improvement good? What does 25% mean? Did you improve process improvement from going from 10 minutes down to 7.5 minutes? Or was it 10 days down to 7.5 days, or whatever it may seem? So I don't even know what 20% means. And here's the other part, is what does process improvement mean? Did you create a whole new client acquisition report or customer service/survey to get more information out there and faster for your clients and also your department? Maybe you improved you saved money and time, because instead of trying to buy a bunch of different devices from a bunch of different kinds of companies, you end up doing a bulk in-processing form, or bulk purchasing, to save time and money. So these are the things that they're trying to figure out. Like, okay, what does process improvement even mean? What does 25% mean? So a lot of people just list a bunch of key skills. They list a bunch of arbitrary buzzwords because process improvement is always in there. And, I'm showing my 20% in there, but it doesn't mean anything. It's arbitrary. We need to know a little bit more, because, again, we want to stand out in front of everyone else. And that also goes with the crammed with job responsibilities. If you keep telling me all these generic, vague job responsibilities that I input into my job post, yeah, ATS scoring sites and ChatGPT are going to tell you, you're definitely going to want to make sure you put these job responsibilities in there. But here's the thing, without you telling me what you actually, like, what was your impact, value, and metrics in there, it's not telling me anything. Sure, you're showing relevancy because of the job post, but you're not actually telling me what makes you so valuable compared to everyone else. And here's the thing, again, I have to reiterate, you are valuable. We just need to pull it out, right? Talk about team size, talk about how big the project was, talk about across how many departments. I want you to brag about everything. If you feel like, here's a big one, especially for my veterans out there, if you feel like you have additional duties, or you're given more tasks than what you are signed up for or what you're getting paid for, brag about that. There's more than likely a reason why you got more tasks or stayed with those tasks. It's because you actually do a good job with it. So brag about it. Say something like that you're appointed to lead so-and-so, or you're appointed or recognized for X, Y, and Z, therefore appointed to do X, Y, and Z. Brag about all these things that you, additional duties or additional things that you do, so you can really showcase how amazing you really are. We've already talked about this, appealing to the masses. Because they're keeping everything so generic and vague and broad, they're trying to appeal to everyone. And when when a human does look at it, and they more than likely do, they just, it doesn't appeal to them because you're trying to appeal to everyone. So keep on showing that relevancy as much as you can. And then here's a big one, is that job post durations. There are a lot of posts out there that can be up for more than 1 to 2 weeks, 3 weeks, so on and so forth. That it can be a problem, not always. Maybe you might not want to tailor your resume for those, but as long as your master resume is appealing and in somewhat of that industry, just go for it. Because again, there's so many applications that are so bad. And here's the thing though about the job post durations is that after 1 week or 2 weeks, if they're getting 150 to 500 plus applications, they really only have time to look at 100 or so applications. So until they can really weed out. And because that takes a lot of time depending on what the size of the company is. Because again, everyone's just pressing apply now and then that's it. And it's just saturated with a bunch of people there. So you may get a rejection email. It may take really long, and those are things to consider because they're still trying to figure out who is best for them. And or they may have found the best 5 candidates, but legally a lot of times they have to keep it up. So even though they found their best 5 candidates, they have to legally keep it up until it's definitely closed. And then that's why a lot of people get automatic rejection emails too, because they're already in that process. Now, maybe, again, if you don't want to tailor it, maybe you might still get lucky. Maybe those 5 other people, and when they finally chose the 1 or 2 or 3 that they were looking at, they just can't do it. And then, they may keep it open as well or reopen it. So those are things to keep, to consider as well. So overall, the solution, when it comes to your resume, show me you are a PM. Don't just tell me. Just because you have the word project manager, project coordinator, IT project manager, effective communicator, whatever it may be, just because you're telling me you can do it, I need you to show me that you have and can do those things. Focus more on being reader friendly and not ATS friendly. Don't have a long list of a bunch of keywords and arbitrary metrics and bullets. I want you to make sure that you're always telling me and bragging to me about what makes you so amazing for the company. You focus on looking at the job posts, qualifications, and requirements. This is another big one. Don't look at job responsibilities. The very first thing you should start doing from here on out is always look at those qualifications and requirements. Yes, a lot of times they are generic and vague. And at those times, if you want to still apply for it. But just know that it could be fairly saturated because it's just so it's just so generic, and it's just because it's so generic, a lot of people just apply for it. So just know that I don't want you to tailor for those because it might be a waste of your time. But again, if you have a very good master resume that already brags about everything about you, I would just send it. Because it's you bragging about yourself, showing genuine relevance and metrics. If it's from your master resume, it's already going to be leagues ahead of many other people, and it's just going to be a breath of fresh air whenever they see it. So that's something to think about. So always focus on those qualifications and requirements, hoping that it's not actually just generic, like a lot of people's, like entrepreneurial mindset, and it's just a bunch of those generic ones. And I know I keep saying the same thing, but always showing those metrics, impacts, and values. So I keep repeating a lot of stuff, but here's an easy example for you. And I hope, in fact, I'm going to ask again. Actually, I don't want to take any more. Well, I am actually going to ask. Are you guys able to see this okay? Because I want to make sure that, that my point gets across from here. So, well, because it's like about a 1 to 2 minute lag, and I don't want you to have to wait 1 to 2 minutes. So, I'll keep looking at the comments just to verify. But this is what a common resume I see. So where you can see up here is that you can disregard all this, but you have a career objective, hey, it's not 1 to 2 paragraphs. I'm already happy about that. But then you have a bunch of key skills, a whole bunch of different types of lists and keywords that a lot of those applicant tracking those ATS websites, scoring websites try to tell you to look at, and make sure that you're inputting in there. But again, as I keep on mentioning, especially when it's at the top. For my resumes, I have PM resume templates. I have a bunch of, these kinds of keywords, but they're at the bottom because yes, if there's a filtering system, it'll say, hey, look, I have Zendesk experience or Smartsheet or ClickUp experience, but that's at the bottom because I need to capture your attention right away. But here's the thing. Okay, you're telling me you have project management skills of planning, scheduling, resource allocation, so on and so forth. I need you to show me, right? Sure, great, you have a high ATS score, but this is the problem that everyone keeps focusing on is, cool, you have all that, but I need to know what makes you better than everyone else. So you have all these skills, then you have education and qualifications, and by the way, unless you are a recent graduate, as in like after high school and immediately went into your undergrad or graduate, and you don't really have much of a career experience, put your education and certifications at the bottom. This is usually for people who who don't necessarily have any kind of career experience. But this person did, and look how far it takes me just to finally see any information about what makes them different. And then I cut it off a little bit, but if you can see here, these are the kinds of job posts or bullets that I often see. That's simply a job responsibility, job description. Back in the day, sure, you stating that you have experience in project planning, including defining the project scope, objectives, and deliverables, I probably would have been ecstatic. But right now, everything is so saturated. That's expected as because you're applying for a job or a project management job. That's expected. I need you to know how to define a project scope. Now since we know that's expected, how about you start telling me how did you actually do it? What processes or systems did you make it better? The objectives and deliverables. Maybe you finished your deadlines 1 to 2 weeks earlier or a month earlier, which also saved a bunch of money because you didn't have to pay those vendors anymore for that month. Those are the kind of things I want to know about. And so you can see here that maybe some of you people or maybe some of you individuals might be seeing this, but this is a very common thing that a lot of people have. And maybe not exactly like this, but they definitely have more so job bullets that are similar to this. But for those people out there that have a lot of their information like this, again, I just need to know what makes you so much better, and I want you to show me. Don't tell me that you can do these things, because here's the thing: if there's a qualification requirement that says that I need you to be an effective communicator or you have an entrepreneurial mindset, as a resume writer, and even for my own resumes or for anyone, I don't even put that in there because it means nothing. The value, the metrics, the impact that I give shows you that I'm an effective communicator, that I'm a team leader. Now, when there's unique keywords, like for instance, let's say if it's about biohazard pharmaceuticals. I'm kind of making up things right now. But if it's specifically about pharmaceuticals or something like that, and there's a certain language to it, those are the things that I'm actually going to be focusing on when it comes to those keywords. Now, here's my example. This is where what I really try to hit home on when it comes to a lot of these types of resumes. It's clean and simple. The other one was clean and simple too. It wasn't very complicated or anything like that. But my goal is immediately to show my relevance and value to them. So I don't have a long list of key skills or keywords that I'm trying to appeal to everyone. I focus on 3, maybe 3 to 4. And sure, there are other areas that I'll focus on too in some of these keywords if they're unique enough, but I'm going to specifically point out 3 to 4. Now, this first one's usually the title of the actual job post. So if you're applying for a job post that says project coordinator, just put in project coordinator. It says senior project manager, and you have that relevant experience, say senior project manager, right? And this again kind of goes into the whole tailored versus trying to one size fits all resume, because you could be missing out on that. Now, change management and process improvement. Yes, absolutely. Those can be seen often, but it's a lot less often than effective communicator, team leader, entrepreneurial mindset, so on and so forth. So, and sometimes they actually go further in depth about what they're looking for in change management. Maybe sometimes under the qualifications or requirements, it'll actually state 3+ year, 5+ years, or 5+ years of project management experience with 3+ years of change management experience. If that's the case, that's under the qualifications and requirements. Boom, I'm going to make sure that's in there, because that's going to show you immediate relevancy. And process improvement, if you see certain kind of keywords or information that's out there that is being utilized quite a bit in that job post or in a lot of your job post analysis, then you could put that in there. But this is made to be an easy replacement. Again, this is not a one size fits all. This is geared to spending as little time to tailor when and if you want to tailor. Now here, I've actually shortened this from here on out. I've actually shortened it to only doing 2 sentences, but this one has 3 just to show a variety. But my first sentence is all about showcasing years of experience, doing what. So specifically, this person wanted to showcase their years of being a career professional, and then they wanted to show the project management experience specifically as well, which we should be, because they're going for project management or project manager roles. So I wanted to showcase those 2 different kinds of aspects to it, but then also what industry. That is a key one there to really show the relevancy. Now, we had Brendan who mentioned, what if you don't have that industry? Then we want to showcase what kind of skills or department or sector that we can really focus on. So for instance, if they didn't have healthcare industry experience, then I might want to be focusing on change management. So it would say in project management, team leadership, qualities, with a focus on change management, right? Something along those lines. Focus on those unique keywords and identifiers if you don't have that exact relevant industry experience or sector experience. But if you do, and you have IT, healthcare, finance, financial experience, and those are the roles that you're going for, please put that in there, because that's going to be a huge win. And then your second sentence, usually what I do is I showcase another 1 or 2 unique keywords. Maybe it's process improvement if they showcase a lot of it. Maybe it's supply management, supply chain management, government contracting, vendor relationships, stuff like that isn't used in such a generic and vague way. And then I try to showcase everything that I have been a part of. So every single task that you led that involved money, every team that you led that involved money, every project or program that involved money, tell them everything that you've ever led or had to take in charge of. Start calculating that, reverse engineering it, and think about everything that you've been able to handle. I just tell them leveraging skills in skill 1 and skill 2, accumulate a project or program portfolio worth of X million or X thousands of dollars. Numerical values are very appealing to the eyes, which is why I do that, and why we want to do that, because again, kind of like breath of fresh air, if you see nothing but, death by PowerPoints, or you see a bunch of emails every single day, the moment that you can actually look at your phone and see some videos or bright colors, it's a breath of fresh air, or it's really good for your eyes. These kinds of things are just that. And then you have the career highlights. Again, this is going to be probably in another topic in itself, but you can see on what I try to focus on for a lot of those bullets. It's metrics. I only need to showcase a couple right at the top that's relevant to them, or to really showcase how amazing I really am. But here's the part I want to showcase. Career experience. It's almost immediate. In fact, you can even have it immediate right here, because this is showing relevancy and value to them. But my career experience, where they're going to be skimming pretty fast to, is right there. As compared to prior, I had to go through around 75%, 80% of the page just to get to relevant experience there. And so when it comes to ATS friendliness versus reader friendliness, 1 page or 2 pages, a lot of the myths that we talked about, when we are able to just simply create that value, those metrics immediately to those industry or those unique identifiers or keywords, and really focus on spending time on our master resume, where it can just be showcasing all your amazing attributes, and then focusing on tailoring resumes later on. When you have an awesome master resume, you eliminate so much time and you get looked at so much more. I promise you, you'll get looked at so much more. And so hopefully this was able to help out. Now, we're so past time. So obviously, if anyone wants to leave, or if you feel like you want to leave, feel free. Again, before you leave, if you want to let me know that you want these slides, I'll be more than happy to send it to you. Please just email, or not email me, message me on LinkedIn. I plan on having something where it's a little bit more automated. Also, feel free to let me know about what your thoughts are on this LinkedIn Live. I know there's probably a lot of things I could get a lot better, so I apologize, and thank you for your help on that. But regardless, I'll answer 1 or 2 questions, and then and that'll be almost towards the end. So feel free to message whatever you'd like. Again, I'm sorry again, but because of the delay, it's a little bit harder to try to look how everything is. Well, while I'm waiting for some of the questions, I'll actually do this. There we go. So, one, thank you to everyone. Please, if you want to see what kind of questions people have, and no matter how minor or major the questions are, please stick around if you want to know what the answers are. But nonetheless, thank you to everyone that was here to help me out. Thank you to everyone for being here so I can help you out. It truly means the world to me. I plan on doing this every single week with different topics. Let me know what kind of topics you would like for me to discuss. But it's next Thursday, same place, same time. Hopefully better quality if it wasn't, and I can figure out this whole delay thing. But it's all made to help you, those PM job seekers. On my website, there are free resources, resumes, PM resume templates, guides. There's some fun ones like a Darth Vader resume, or Deadpool versus Wolverine resume, or Deadpool and Wolverine resumes. And this is just to showcase that no matter in a majority of so many types of careers out there, whether you're a Sith Lord or a fictional superhero or anti-hero, however you want to see fit, you can really make into a lot of things as a project manager and make it really fulfilling and valuable there. So those kinds of things are at my website, and if you would like that information, feel free to let me know. If you do get this PowerPoint, it'll have the link in there as well. And then if you would like a PM resume review, absolutely free, feel free to let me know, or click on a link if you have the PowerPoint, and you schedule a free PM resume review. I'm not there to sell anything. I'm simply there just to help. And if you need any more assistance on that, please just feel free to let me know. But I'm going to go back and see if there's any other questions. As right now, for the last couple moments, there hasn't been. So I think that we'll be going towards the end of it. And again, thank you so much for your time and dealing with my the delays and obviously a lot longer than 30 minutes. But I promise I'm gonna try to do as much as I can to lower it. Actually, there is a question. Hopefully, you didn't leave just yet. The question is, as a PM, seeing more short-term contracts versus full-time employee opportunities. Are there any pros or cons or watch-outs to be aware of as we're considering contract PM work? Oof, that's I'm seeing more short-term contracts versus full-time employees. Are there any pros or cons or watch-outs to be aware of as we're considering contract? So here's the concept when it comes to short-term or contract-based work. If it's only for 6 months, so on and so forth. Ever since COVID, there has been a big company-wide mindset shift when it comes to job hopping. All that simply is in your resume. Sure, it doesn't happen often, but you can simply just state how long the contract was. So if you're only doing something for 6 months, you can simply state, after your job title or after the company name or something along those lines, you can just say parentheses, 6 month contract, something along those lines. Or you can say in your bullet, directed 20-member team for 6 month contract, and then getting into the nitty gritty about what you were directing within that project. But yeah, so if you simply just annotate that, that's going to be very big. I know I just said that there's a huge mindset shift in regards to job hoppers. But if you don't put anything, it could be assumed that is the case. Again, I'm going to say, I don't want to say it's the exception or the norm, really. It's just maybe just making sure that we err on the side of caution. So that's why I mentioned the whole 6 month contract kind of deal. But since COVID, there has been a huge uptick in understanding with that. And that's also just for career gaps. Anyone out there who has stuck around, anyone who has, let's say you worked, you maybe then focused on your education. Maybe you are an at-home parent. Maybe you just need some time to travel the world. This is something to know that if you had a 1 to 2 year range, maybe even more, it's okay. Let's say you have a job now that you're not fond of anymore. And prior to that, it was 2 to 3 year gap from your last career. That's okay. A lot of people know this ever since COVID. Again, my goal, if I'm the company, is are you able to solve my problem? And, as long as your resume can do that and your interview can show that and see how amazing you are, that's where those career gap thoughts kind of go away. So, Jasmine, I hope I was able to answer your question in regards to that. Sorry if you want to ask a secondary or part B of that question, feel free. But that is what my initial answer is. Again, this delay is quite annoying though sometimes. But you know what? I'll actually stick around just a little bit longer, or you feel free to message me if you'd like. But I'll stick on for live stream just in case because of the whole entire delay. But thank you again, everyone, for such an amazing time, and I can't wait to see you all next week. I wish you all nothing but the best, and it was truly an honor. Thank you. Bye-bye. That being said, I'll still be here. Okay, Jasmine, it seems like I was able to answer your question. Yes, I'll see you next week. Thank you for sticking around for this delay. I really need to make sure I can figure that part out. But thank you so much for sticking around, Jasmine. And feel free to message me with any other questions or if you need any help with anything whatsoever. I absolutely love helping out any and all PM job seekers out there. So I'll stick around for a couple more minutes just in case there are any other follow-up questions. And I will be heading out for the night and day. Thank you. Hannah, I think I don't know what's going on with this whole comment thing, but I can yes, the live broadcast should be available as well. I'm still figuring that part too. It's being recorded regardless, so if you like, I can definitely still send this to you if you like. But I can also send this information, the actual slides to you too, if you'd like. If you're still even here, if not, I might be talking to myself, and I'll try to verify that later. But regardless, for anyone out there, if you would like to have this recording, LinkedIn should do it. I'm going to verify that, and then I'll also be producing my own. And then if you would like to have any of these kinds of slides, please let me know. And as for what time next week, it's going to be the same time every single Thursday, where it's going to be 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every single Thursday. So, Hannah, if you're not here, I will obviously be messaging you shortly for that. So, I'm going to see one more time if there's any more questions. If I didn't get to your questions, please feel free to either message or comment on it. Regardless, I'll get to your questions. It's going to be best to just message me for faster responses. But yeah. Thank you all for being here. Finally, I'll stick around for another 1 or 2 minutes again, just to verify. And please feel free to message me whenever you like.